Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time again for another episode. Health Talks with Dr. Trinh, the one show, maybe the only show that shows you a healthier life. The research, the ideas, the thoughts, and just the real people doing real things. Sometimes it's a little off the beaten path. Today, that might be the story as we talk to Dr. Trinh, brings in one of his first tongue-out students who has now followed a different path to happiness.
We lost
health.
your audio.
You did?
What did you say? We can't hear you.
You can't hear me
Your
right
voice
now?
faded out with the music.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, turn it up a little bit.
Okay. You know what it is I gotta double check this, because sometimes on this program it will fade. If I start talking, that mutes the music here, or vice versa. If the music plays, it mutes it. So my mistake. All right. Well, good for that. We're all set. I think we're still okay. And let's launch with our show today here. Dr. Trinh, who did you brought in somebody who was one of your first tongue-out students to go with you on one of these medical missions. Talk about that. And now she's on her own mission, and we're going to track that and how that intersects with your mission. And all this stuff is going to somehow come together. But start us off. Introduce us to Claire.
Yes, Claire. Wow, where do I even start? She started with tongue out at age what?
I think it was like 16.
How old were you?
It was 15.
Age 16. Yeah, you're around 15-ish. And tell us, Claire, where have you been with tongue out, and how many trips you been on?
And how and where did you come at 15? How did you find tongue out, and what attracted you to it?
So Iggy was my mom's doctor for many years. Okay. And I guess I had gone with her to like an appointment. I was just like waiting in the waiting room. And I think you had finished up the appointment, and my mom, of course, had spoken to you about me, and was proud of me being at our arts high school in Orange County.
Yes.
And so you invited me to come into your office, and we started talking. And we just hit it off, as everyone does with Iggy, very easy to talk to. And Iggy was like, "Hey, I'm going to Haiti next week. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yes."
Sure. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go pick up Starbucks. You want one? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So that was my first experience traveling with tongue out, which at the time was a lot smaller than it is now. And I think I was the only high schooler. Maybe it was me and Johnny, his son. And wow, what an adventure. It was a whirlwind weekend trip to Haiti. I think it was literally 48 hours. And then I was back in school on Monday.
Wow. I didn't know it was that fast. I thought you go for a week or more. I would think you go that far. It's hard to just turn around and come back that quickly. Yeah. But you did. Okay.
Yeah, they organize it pretty well. So we were able to accomplish a lot in just 48 hours. And so I think I've always really admired Iggy, and I really look up to his generosity and his kindness.
Don't we all?
Yeah, Iggy's my hero. So yeah, thanks for having me today.
All right, so now let's go through some little pieces here of the puzzle, see if we can make it look into a pretty picture here today. So you just stumble into the office, but you were obviously in the arts. Orange County is privileged. I don't think people know this. We've never had them on our station. I would love to have somebody from the Orange County Performing Arts School come on, because it's a magnet school. If you are part of this greater Orange County, I don't know which school boards participate in stuff, which school districts participate in it, but a whole bunch of them. And you can spend your time, if you're accepted, at not your regular high school, your neighborhood high school, but you can go to this special school for the performing arts, which is kind of like when I grew up many years ago. The movie Fame, the New York has this famous performing arts school, and it's launched the careers of many great actors, writers, cinematographers, choreographers, whatnot. And I think Orange County's Performing Arts School has had similar success stories. You're certainly going to be one of them. What was that experience like? Why did you go there, and what drew you to that world?
So yeah, I've definitely heard the comparisons to Fame, and there was like some other TV show that was going on at the time that had like an arts high school, and everyone would always compare it to that too. I can't remember what it was called suddenly.
Right.
It had Ariana Grande on it, but yeah, I was really fortunate to have supportive parents who were willing to drive me all the way to Santa Ana from South Orange County instead of my local high school. And I started there in 8th grade because it actually is a middle school and a high school.
Oh, okay.
So I did 5 years there. So 5 years of commuting, which I'm really, really thankful for, because I would not have realized, or maybe I would have, but I realized that I wanted to do film while at OSHA. And part of that was because I started out acting and doing theater there. And then I started getting more interested in talking with the directors of the projects I was working on and writing my own scripts. And then I was like, maybe I want to be on the other side of things. Maybe I want to be behind the camera. And so then I switched into the film program there, which is really a remarkable conservatory. And Mr. Aruli is the head of the film department. I'm still in touch with him.
And so like any a vocational school, which this kind of is, you're not learning auto shop or something here. You're learning how the ins and outs of an entertainment career. How much time do you spend on the vocation? How much time do you spend on math and science and reading in the normal high school curriculum?
So from 8 a.m. to about 2 p.m., we would do our regular academic work. And then from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., we would do our art conservatory. Middle school students, I think, get out at like 3:30, but high school students, we would be there until 5. And then sometimes even later if we have rehearsals or other commitments. Like I would be on campus until 10 p.m. sometimes, which I don't know.
Oh, I get it, because you don't want to leave. You're in the sandbox here. You're in the theater. Why do I want to? Or LeBron James never left the gym. You never left the theater here. But you didn't just go there. You had to compete. You had to qualify to enter. This isn't something anybody can do. You have to be chosen. You have to make it there, right?
Yeah. So I submitted an application and then went through an audition process and then was accepted initially. And then I ended up doing the same thing for switching conservatories, which I think is probably a little bit easier once you're already in. But yes, it is an application and audition process to get into the school. And I think it's still the case. Yeah.
And how many different, you call them conservatories, different tracks, different programs within the school are there? There must be film, there must be theater, there must be music or dance or something here. Anything else? What else is in there?
Yeah, I know they have an animation conservatory now. I think they do a lot of like VFX and other things too. I know they have something called integrated arts, which is like all of the arts. They have something for everyone. It's a really diverse school. It's not just performing arts.
Do they have radio or podcasting or any of these audio arts in there?
Honestly, they should, because podcasting is huge.
I think it's a new medium. I don't think when I started this, just to go off a track for a second, I'm curious because I followed your same path here. When I was in high school, I did all the musicals and the plays, and I sang, and I thought it was going to be I had a rock and roll band and all that kind of stuff. And then I went to college, and some of that kind of wore off because that wasn't encouraged in the Midwest. My parents certainly didn't encourage it. Get a job, get a career. And I was also fascinated in politics and political science, and I thought I was going to go to law school and all this stuff. So I kind of did that. But I stumbled into the college radio station and ended up that was my dorm. That was my fraternity. I hung out there every hour I could and ended up running the student radio station and then getting a real job in radio and doing that for a while, and then coming to California to be a writer, actor, rock star, producer. I wasn't too picky. I'd take any of them here. Didn't get any of them, but got in the door as an entertainment publicist. And that was, so if I wasn't on camera, I was at least next to the camera, and I was just off stage as they're making the movie or doing this, and got to meet all this and do a lot of fascinating things here. So that track that you're following fascinated me, but it was a lot harder when I grew up because there was no performing arts school to go to. It wasn't a well-defined path. It was more of a trade that you learned and not something you went to a school and studied. You know, you had to get in the door doing anything, and then you sort of figured it out. It was a book. It was like that. So anyway, having said all that,
I have a question.
I now think, here's the question. I now think that podcasting has become a medium unto itself. It's long form storytelling. It's not just recorded radio like I thought it was. It's a new medium with a new pace. It's serialized storytelling again. And like all of these things. And I think it's a whole different way. I think it's found its own niche, its own format, its own length. And I think that people should be studying and looking at it, because I think we're in the it's like the early days of the silent movies. We don't know what a podcast is yet. We're still trying to figure it out. Like they were trying to figure out what a movie was, how many reels.
What Claire didn't tell you, that she's been part of two, not one, but two 20th Century Fox movies already.
There you go. And what did you do in those films? What did Claire? Oh, she froze on us there. Okay.
Me, Iggy. Oh, I'm frozen.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. We put her on the spotlight and she froze like a deer in the headlight. Oh my goodness.
Literally froze.
Well, okay. I have a question for Paul, but I'll answer this first thing. So I had the really amazing opportunity to work on The Hate You Give and The Darkest Minds, which came out, I think, in 2018 as a production assistant. And it was a good way to get a sense for like how much of a commitment this decision is to go into film, which I'm sure you saw Paul working adjacent to the camera, as you put it, because it's a really demanding line of work. So it was a good opportunity for me to decide, like, okay, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to get to something? Sorry, go ahead.
Were you even 20 years old?
No, I think I was 19.
19 years old, two movies. There you go.
2 movies. There you go. And production assistant's the perfect place to start, because it's kind of the gopher. You get to see everything and do everything. And you're the bottom person on the bottom totem pole, and you have to prove yourself and hustle. And it's you make of it what you will. You can just take it as a job and go home, or you can it lets you in the door, and now you can see everything that's here and run around. How do we do that? How do we do this? How do we do this? How can I help this? And that's, many people have launched in through that. It's very hard to get a production assistant job, but if you get one, you feel like you've landed the keys to the kingdom. I tried to get a couple production assistant jobs when I first came here. I didn't get them. I had to do it the hard way. I had to trick my way in. And I'll just tell you my funny story. This to me is Hollywood, especially in the 80s when I came here. So I desperately tried. I had studied film. I studied screenwriting. I had acted in college and high school and all this stuff here. And I thought, I came out, everybody was like that. There was a million talented people. That was the entry fee just to get in the door. You know, I might have been one of the most talented kids in my high school in that regard. I was just one of a billion kids that all came here seeking that. So I couldn't get in through the normal path. I'd go to the Universal Studios and knock on the employment door, and it was locked. And finally, I banged on it so hard, the lady opened up. She said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want a job." She said, "We don't take applications. What are you applying for?" I said, "I don't know. What do you got?" It doesn't work that way. You tell us what you're applying for, and we'll tell you whether you get it. Like production assistant. I didn't even know what the jobs were called. So I went to classes and figured out, I'm trying to catch up and see what all these, and I go back. I'm applying for a production assistant. Oh, no, you're getting close, but we don't have one of those today. So I had to, I took a job selling copiers because it gave me a battering ram to get in the door. If I wasn't a production assistant wandering the halls, I was the guy with the copier wandering the hall, trying to, copier, I'm here to sell the copier. And the studio gates would open up and I'd go in. I sold one to Francis Ford Coppola that way. He had to come out and buy the copier. And then when I was there, I'd take that brief moment and I'd say, whatever they were doing, that's what I wanted to do with my life. So whatever it was, actor, writer, producer, rock star. And one day I sold one to a PR firm in Beverly Hills that handled Joan Collins and all these famous celebrities on Dynasty and everything. And I said, and then when I'd sell them the copier, and then I'd go back and service the copier. That would be my excuse to come in. You can't come in here. Oh no, I'm here to fix the copier. Oh, okay, then I'd go in and I'd wander the building. I said, what did we do here? Any jobs here? What? And I just talked to anybody. And so finally I asked the secretary the same question there, and she took a shining to me, this older woman, and she said, I'm going to introduce you to the boss. And so he came out and he asked me one question. He said, okay, we do public relations. Do you even know what it is? And my name is Paul Roberts. And all I could think of was Paul Roberts, PR. And I laughed and I said, I was born to do this. And on that one joke, he said, give him a job. And I got hired, and they put me in the room with the copier and handed me a phone. I'm supposed to start booking people on the Tonight Show and stuff. And I didn't even know what we did. I had to go ask the secretary, what do we do? And she said, you have to figure it out. And that was it. So no school, no study, no nothing. I tricked my way into the door. And once I got in, I was on the other side of the red carpet, and suddenly I was in. And I knew people. I could tell you lots of success stories. Whose name escapes me now here. Jonathan Feldheimer I got to meet early on. He was a similar young publicist like I was. He's now the head of Lionsgate Films. He started at the same level. I didn't make it that far, but he did. You know, that's these little entry-level points, production assistant, publicist. You get in the door somewhere and you start hustling and learning to do stuff here, and they make their way. Brad Gray I got to meet early on. He was just a little, like I was, a wannabe. He became the head of The Sopranos and all these movies, and he since passed away. He was the head of Paramount Pictures. So I wished I had rode along with him, but I watched people like myself. We all entered in like you're doing, and some of them figured out how to keep climbing the ladder and keep going and do spectacular things. But they all started at the bottom. They didn't get hired as an executive. They didn't get hired to do something important in the beginning. So I emphasize what you're doing is the way in. It's amazing. Just to get in is hard, and then to make something of it is even harder. All right, so much for my posturing here, my little 20 years or my 10-year career in the entertainment industry in 10 minutes here. All right, so now you're there, and now you've gone to what? Chapman has a spectacular film school. Their aspiration is to be USC, to be at that level, if they're not already. So what's it like to now to get a little taste of it and to be doing it all the time?
Well, as a Chapman student, I feel obligated to say we're not trying to be USC.
Oh, yes, you are. You guys you're looking for the next Steven Spielberg, and you want to say that we're yeah. All right, but go ahead. All right.
Well, just as an aside, I want to comment on like how industrious you were as like a young person to like just walk into that place and get a job.
That's how it was done in those days. I may still be done that way, but there was no school. You didn't study public relations. There were no programs. You didn't study film. There were no film. Hard to believe in the 70s and 80s, there were no courses on screenwriting or filmmaking. Very few. USC was one of the first to do that and graduated this crop, Coppola and Spielberg and everybody else, and George Lucas, that became so famous. And part of it was because they were one of the few doing it.
Yeah, I think what makes Chapman unique in this regard is that, well, we have a new dean as of the last year or so. His name is Stephen Galloway.
Okay.
And he, I think, recognizes that the industry is changing a lot. In no small part due to COVID. I mean, I think theaters, unfortunately, are not the way people are consuming media anymore.
No. Right.
And so I think Dean Galloway is trying to build, or at least shape, Chapman into being more of a film school that is a film school of the future, and that recognizes that people are in large part consuming media on their phones and at home on their TVs, and kind of meeting people where they're at, but still telling great stories.
Right.
And he's also really like aware of like what's going on in the world socially, and he's hired a lot more people of color as professors, which is exciting. So yeah, I mean, I think Dodge for a long time was kind of trying to be like USC, but now I think it is changing, and I think that's why I'm one of the reasons I'm really proud to be a student. Honestly, it's like we're really recognizing how much of a changing world we're in, which is where a school like USC or NYU is maybe falling short because they're so tied to tradition and so tied to their name.
Right. And the success they had in the past, generating people who, but what they forget in those days, it was cutting edge. To go to film school was a rarity in 1970s. There weren't many film schools. You didn't think you could, and the people in the film industry didn't think you could learn it. It was a craft. It was a trade. You came in, like on the union thing, you came in at some low level and then you worked your way up through the unions on the production side of it. It wasn't something you studied and came out and learned. You learned it on the job. You got in and then you figured out how to do it. Now the film schools of the 70s and 80s said we can turn this into a study where people can actually study it and dissect it and learn it and then go out and from there graduate into a regular job in the industry or making movies, as Spielberg and others did.
So I want Claire to share about your passion in this new film that you want to make. This is like her senior thesis type film, is that right?
Yes.
And actually, she's also looking to raise funds to actually produce the films. And so we want to kind of share a little bit about your route toward all this, Claire.
Which brings it all back into Alzheimer's, tongue out, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm shooting my senior thesis film at Chapman University in the spring, and it's based on my personal experiences as a child visiting my grandmother, who I looked similar to and was close with until she eventually couldn't remember me anymore due to Alzheimer's. And so as a storyteller, and as someone who's lost a family member to Alzheimer's, I'm really fascinated by how this disease forces families to basically grieve loved ones before they're really even gone.
Yes, right.
And this film, which is titled My Face Is Not My Own, seeks to explore that experience and offer something for people to connect with if they've had similar experiences, and also spread awareness of issues pertaining to Alzheimer's if they're not aware of it. So, we just launched our GoFundMe. I can share the link.
Please do. Please do. Absolutely.
Great.
If somebody wants to support it, because that's what GoFundMe and all these things were originally conceived for, projects that didn't necessarily have any immediate commercial return, but it's a good thing. I'm going to help somebody do a project. I'm going to help somebody make a film. I'm going to help somebody do something, and I'll ride along. I'll be fun. I'll be part of it. I won't get anything out of it other than it'll make me feel good, and maybe I'll get a little perk. I'll get a T-shirt. If I contribute, I'll be an extra in the film or something like that. Right?
Yeah. So definitely some exciting perks, like you can have your name in the credits potentially, and you also get the satisfaction of knowing that you're supporting art and a young artist, and being an early adopter, if you will. Yeah. And supporting a good cause. Like I was talking with Iggy and with Jim McAleer of Alzheimer's OC, just to interview them and learn more about the good work that they're doing with Alzheimer's. And there's still so much that we don't know about Alzheimer's. So
how much money do you have to raise these days to do a student film? In my day, 70s and 80s, it was in the thousands, a couple thousand. You could shoot something because we're shooting on an 8mm or something, a handheld camera, something here. Is it cheaper or is it more expensive? I'm going to guess it's a lot more expensive to just, and these are what, 5-minute, 15-minute films, something like that?
So speaking for Chapman University, I'm not sure about other schools. The high end is $50,000 and the low end is like $10,000. Right. And we're basically smack dab in the middle of that.
And this teaches you how to go hustle, because when in the world of making film, I don't care if you're Steven Spielberg, you still got to go hustle for the money.
Yes.
Each and every project has to be funded. and you have to find financing. The studio give you a little bit, and you can seed a little bit with your own money, but somewhere along the way, you got to get people to ride along on this and to support this project, right?
Exactly. And I'm really thankful to the women of Chapman and to the Zonta Club of Newport Harbor, who have already supported this film and are partially covering the budget. We're just trying to make that final stretch.
Okay. All right. And Alzheimer's, because of your own experience, what have there been a lot of films done on Alzheimer's, Dr. Trinh? I don't really see too many. That isn't a theme. It's such a common thing, but I don't know too many. I can't think of any big Hollywood films.
That's a good point. If I seen it, I don't remember it anymore. My memory's not that
I guess
great.
there was that one Message in a Bottle or something a few years ago where the guy is talking to his wife in the film. They're getting to know each other, and he's trying to get her to remember basically their life together, which she's forgotten.
There's, I think you're talking about The Notebook.
But the Notebook, yeah, that was one. Same director.
More recently, Still Alice and The Father with Anthony Hopkins are some movies with Alzheimer's as a subject.
It's a hard one to film because how do you show, one of the things they taught me in screenwriting, which they violate all the time, is no flashbacks. Don't keep going back. And yet it's all flashback because it's the only thing they remember is the flashback. I got to know one of my PR clients, and when I did celebrity PR, was Maureen Reagan, the late, great Maureen Reagan, President Reagan's eldest daughter. And she spent the latter years of her life taking care of him and famously said, I think Nancy Reagan said, it's like they've died, but we haven't buried them. They're still walking around, but they're to all intents purposes lost, gone. It's hard to tell that story because they've forgotten the story.
Yeah, it's a real tragedy.
So, what is your film what's the take on this? Just the what it's like to be in this, what it's like to go through this, what it's like for them, what it's like for you. What's your point of view on this film?
So the film takes place over the course of one day, and it's shot from the perspective of a young girl who's about 12, and she's just starting to become a young woman and is struggling with that without the support of her grandmother, who she was very close to. And I mentioned that because a main element of the film is kind of exploring the parallels between this young girl coming of age and this elderly woman kind of regressing and
leaving of age.
Exactly. Yeah. So over the course of this one day, this young girl is trying to remind her grandmother of their former closeness, and then in the end has to accept that her grandma is not going to remember her, but find some peace with it.
And I think one of the questions I've heard people others say is, they may not remember me, but I'm going to remember you. You know, you may not remember who you were, but I remember who you were, and I'm going to keep that story alive. I'm going to retell it and reshare it to my kids or my friends. I'm going to keep your memory alive, even though your memories have gone. I think that's part of the beauty of carrying on that tradition too. Well, I think it'd be a fascinating project. So you got to raise the money, and then how long does it take to shoot it? Do you do it like in a weekend, a week? You can't spend a lot of time on it with that kind of money.
So the way Chapman does things is they assign us dates, and everyone gets 6 days to make their thesis film. So it's over the course of 2 weekends.
2 weekends, and you shoot this thing. And then will it be hopefully your calling card? Will you take it to film festivals, and hopefully that'll open some doors?
Yeah, that's the dream. We'll see what happens. I think a lot of people who do very well at festivals find representation that way, which would be amazing. But I also would love to be an assistant to a director because I obviously have so much to learn. So I'm really excited to see what comes my way.
Okay. All right. So people, give us the GoFundMe again. How can people support you and this? So either they're not just supporting a young budding artist, and they're telling a great story. And if they have some interest or sympathy for Alzheimer's like Dr. Trinh does, it's a way to tell that story too, which doesn't get told very often. So how do they do this? Give us the... link again?
So I just sent the link in the Zoom chat. I'm not sure if it would be helpful for me to read it off.
Well, just say it. Just some will just listen to this, so they may not see it. What it's a GoFundMe, and it's like a number or something.
So it's gofund.me/737-233C9.
All right, so it'll be in the show notes if you look at it as the podcast. Dr. Trin's putting it in the Facebook Live and YouTube groups, so you can see it there. But just for those, sometimes it is an audio medium. Sometimes people are just listening. They're not watching the video version of it. They're not streaming it live here. All right, so there's a way they can do it. And different levels, you give $5, $50, $1,000, you get different little perks along the way, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting me share this story with everyone. I'm really excited to make it.
What else, Dr. Trin? Why did you bring her on? Just to tell this story, or to tell her story, or
kind of a little bit of both of everything. We need to bring more awareness about Alzheimer's and about how Alzheimer's has affected not only patients but the family member. Claire is, just right there. It's her grandma. Because I know both her parents, I've known the entire family and how they've gone through as family members of a patient with Alzheimer's. It's a disease that isn't a disease that affects one person. It's a disease that affects the entire family.
Exactly.
And we need to highlight that fact through movies like this, how the entire family is affected.
You know what I've never asked you in all the time that we've done this? What is your story with Alzheimer's, Dr. Trin? I really don't know why you were drawn to this subject.
I don't remember.
See, exactly. I mean, you don't have a personal connection that we're a family. Oh, my grandmother, my father, my mother, somebody here, my brother, my sister. Somewhere you started dealing with an aging group of patients. You used to have a practice, I think, in Leisure.
Oh yeah, actually, so my story is that I have, I've been in practice for close to 20 years as a primary care physician. Most of my patients are older seniors because, that's what an internist does. My practice is very close to Laguna Woods, and so most of my folks come from Laguna Woods, and over the close to 20 years of practice, I've seen them go through the entire process of Alzheimer's, from having normal memory, driving independent, having great conversations with me, and then slowly seeing the change over time, right? Forgetting names, forgetting words, and then forgetting to turn off the stove, and then their family brings them in and tells me how forgetful they are, and the patient's usually in denial somehow, or writes it off as getting older, and then eventually making that diagnosis of Alzheimer's, writing prescriptions for Alzheimer's meds, and watching everyone slowly progress to the end, where I am now signing their death certificate.
Yeah.
And I've done that over and over and over hundreds of times because of the type of patients I see, the older patients. And so I felt like I wanted to make more of a difference than just writing a script for Alzheimer's. And that's what we're doing now, right? So I went into clinical trials and did Alzheimer's research, and became part of Alz OC for a while, a good amount of time, and still are. And I'm so proud that Claire is highlighting this in her short film, in her upcoming short film, which I'm planning to support, and I'm hoping a lot of people come and provide adequate funding to highlight that we need to do more for Alzheimer's.
I think it's curious. I never caught the connection, but a doctor's only way to deal with this is to write a script, to physically write a prescription, which they call a script. And she's writing a script. That's her way of dealing with it. Everybody's writing a script, a prescription, something. Yeah.
Oh
I never
my
thought
God.
those two connections. You write a script, she's writing a script. It all
And
comes
you
together.
realize, Paul, that her script is gonna go much farther than my script.
Yeah, well, it can. That's the potential of storytelling of any kind, is that
Her
the
script's
story
gonna
lives
go
on.
much farther than my
Right,
script. My script is gonna be like, okay, it's gonna help your memory a little bit, you know, and
right.
then the disease progresses. Her script, oh my gosh, her script we can bring to the world and
Exactly.
highlight the disease and bring in more funding, bring in more supporters, bring in more volunteers. Claire's script for a kid who's in her young 20s is going to go much farther than a doc.
Because it's a living story. And stories, the essence of stories to me are, as somebody taught me many years ago, three things. One, somehow we remember them differently. Our brains take in tribal stories. That's the legend of this. That's the way we do things around here, kid. That's our 10 commandments. That's our founder's story. We remember stories because we're tribal people. We also relate to them. Oh, you can tell me all day long the facts and the figures and stuff, but I'll forget those. But tell me a story, humanize it, give it a face. I'll never forget it. And then most importantly, I'll share it. So you might have helped somebody with your prescription, your script, but it was a number, it was a statistic, 10 cc's of something here. I didn't relate to it. I don't remember it. And it probably didn't share it with anybody. Hey, I just got a script. You should too. Whereas she's doing something different. That's the power of storytelling. And I think our society is rediscovering it. I think through things like podcasting, which is a long form narrative, ongoing telling of a story, as opposed to 90 minutes. Here's a movie, here's a TV show, or 10 seconds or 20 seconds. It's once and done. It's an ongoing story. That's what I view podcasting.
So we have a few folks on Facebook here. Nancy Horvat, who I know is on Facebook. She says she's a nurse. She's a union actor, and her dad had Alzheimer's. She's an improvisation teacher, and she's going to help you out any way you can, Claire.
Improvisation is an amazing thing. I didn't know Nancy does all that. I took some improv classes at the Groundlings and other places a gazillion years ago. And here's the essence of improv. Life is yes, but. Yes, I'll lose some weight, but I can't do it right now. Yes, I'm going to figure this out and get a new job, but here's the problem. Improv is yes and. Yes, and. You take the most absurd situation. Aliens just came down, stole your homework, and left you a yellow lemon. What the heck does that mean? I don't know, but you take that and you run with it. You can't change it. Yes, and. It's a whole different way of approaching life. And that's the way the movie business is. They're in the middle of it. It's burning through money. You got 6 days, a little window of time to do this. You can't say, but we need some more money, but I need some more time. This is what they handed you. Yes, and you make do. You figure it out on the fly. You're MacGyver. You're figuring out how to hold it up and to get that and get through the permit and get this done and shoot this and overtime and everything else. It's very improvisational. It just gets made up on the spot. And then sometimes magic comes out of it. Oh,
Yeah.
I want to make a connection there between you and Nancy, Claire.
Thank you. Well, yes, thank you, Nancy Ann. Thank you for the kind words and for your support. But yeah, Paul, I completely agree. I think there's a lot to glean from improv beyond it just being a fun thing to do with a group of people.
It's a whole different philosophy of life, and I really think that's how movies are made. Yes, there's a script, and yes, there's a budget, and yes, there's a plan. But, you know, as Mike Tyson famously said, every plan goes out the window when you get punched in the first time you get punched in the face. So
this show that's coming that you're doing, Claire, is it like a third-person viewpoint or a first-person viewpoint? I'm just kind of curious.
It's a very subjective film. It's definitely about a young girl and her experience. So it's a 10 to 15 minute short film. And we're hoping that it'll go to film festivals and potentially get distribution on like some sort of platform online so more people will see it.
Can I be on there as a zombie?
That's his life's goal, is to be a zombie. But there are no zombies in the story. You shoot the next film. She'll make a zombie apocalypse
We'll
story.
make a cut scene at the end. So after the credits, it'll just be Iggy as a zombie.
Iggy as a zombie.
That's perfect.
No explanation.
No explanation. Just there it is. A little outtake. All right. Well, I think
That's
this
perfect.
is fascinating stuff here. I maybe because I had such a fascination in film and worked so hard to get in and got somewhere with it. I didn't get what I thought I was going to get out of it, but I didn't get to make a film, but I did get to do lots of other things. I was a technical advisor in a film about shoot, because I, as a PR person, put on giant pool tournaments in the 80s and for a client that made pool tables. And somebody came and saw it, and they made a movie of the week about a lady pool player with Whoopi Goldberg, and they hired me as the technical advisor. So I got to work from the script through the editing and the shooting. I was the guy they brought in. Is this how it's done? Is this the way it is? Is this the way pool tournaments are? And it was fascinating. We had to teach Whoopi how to shoot some shots. It was called Kiss Shot. It was a movie of the week, CBS movie of the week. And so... yeah, I got close. I got around a couple times here, but it's really hard. It's a 1 in a million shot to get to make a movie or to star in a movie. But it's not to be around movies and to be in the business. It is a career, and there are people who do it.
I think something that's exciting about being a filmmaker right now is that it's become a lot more accessible because you don't have to shoot on film, because you don't have those extra associated costs.
Right.
Everyone can make a movie with their phone, honestly. It's incredible. And we're seeing that with TikTok, all these storytellers just on this app.
Incredible. There are film festivals just for iPhone films now. Are competitions. You just use an iPhone, and they're actually putting them on little dollies and stuff here and cranes, and they're doing other things other than just holding it by hand. But the medium itself is in your hand. The ability to go out and film and create a story is there. You don't have to have giant cameras and sound stages and all the other stuff anymore like we had to. And film, oh my God, to burn through film was just, half the budget was just buying film, and you had to conserve it. One take, that's it. That's all we get to do it. We don't have any more film to try it again. That's it. We shot it. Now go on to the next scene here.
Yeah, my friend and I shot something just for fun on 16 mil recently, just to get a sense for like the workflow. And wow, it is a lot of effort because you're calculating how much actual film you have left and how many seconds that means on actual camera. So yeah, I'm very happy to be shooting digital on this project.
Yeah, you can just shoot forever on digital. It's a fascinating world we're gone into, and it's opened up to a world that never did it. There was a handful of people that had access to the studios and their cameras, the Steven Spielbergs of the world. Now, I was amazed a couple of years ago, I think they've since closed it down, unfortunately, but YouTube had a creator studio up in Playa del Rey. And if you had 1,000 subscribers or more, you could go play there for free. And they had sound stages and cameras, and they were trying to up the quality of what was on YouTube. And they're not telling you what to do with it, unlike a traditional studio. We got it. You've already shown you have an audience. Here, we'll teach you. We'll have editors and camera operators and better sets and better equipment for you. See what you can make with this. And I thought, well, imagine if Steven Spielberg, when he came out of USC, if they just handed him the keys to the studio over at Universal and said, here, just go in there and play whatever you want to do. That's what we're doing now. And what will come out of that is a richer crop of stories, a wider variety of people, because it's democratized that everybody can do this.
Yeah, the new movies are on TikTok now.
I think they are. And the new stories are in podcasts, and the new things are in something. Medium's yet to be discovered here.
The new newspapers on Facebook News.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We're reinventing media overnight, and suddenly everybody can do it. Everybody can make a record. Everybody can make a movie. Everybody can make a TV show.
Yeah.
So what do you do that? And we're changing the narrative structure. I'll just throw one other thing in here. Howard Rosenberg, the former TV critic for the LA Times for many years, a number of years ago, said something that struck me. He said, I quit. He said, I can't be a TV critic anymore because I don't know what a TV show is. Is it your cat playing with a ball? because that gets 1 million followers. There's no story, there's no arc. It's just a cat endlessly playing with a ball of string. Or is it a 3-act play, beginning, middle, and end, the hero's journey, this struggle, resolution, the classic storytelling? I don't know, he said, anymore what to teach.
Well, I think people are definitely still craving structured stories. I think seeing the popularity of Squid Game is a testament to that. People still are craving stories, and they're still craving them to be done and crafted well, not just necessarily in the short form of a TikTok. Though I think that certainly has a place.
And some of them are very structured. Some of them do have a 3-act play. Here's the problem. Here's the craziness. Here's the setup. It's a joke. Here's the setup. Here's the dialogue. And then here's the payoff. And there's some payoff. There's some conclusion. There's some resolution and change to it. Even in a minute or two, they can go through that little amazing arc. And some are just, watch me, it's reality TV. Just, I'm going to be goofy. Here I am. Okay, tune in tomorrow. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to open something.
Red light.
Yeah. Boom. Flash.
Green light.
Yeah, that's all it is. And there's no story there, but people are fascinated by a world of everybody capturing themselves and being genuine and real. So how do you blend those two together and bring back? I'll tell you the other one that throws, not to get too deep into a discussion of film, but I had a chance to chair a panel a few years ago here at UCI on, because I was going to go cover it, and I showed up and the moderator hadn't made it, and they said, "You're the moderator." And it was about artificial intelligence. It was about, not artificial intelligence, it was about virtual reality. And, and in a virtual reality world, there is no linear storytelling. You go into the world and I can go here, I can go here, I can go here. So you're trying to guide them? Are you trying to, is the classic problem, setup, problem, resolution, 3-act play, or is it just life? Is it experiential rather than storytelling? I can experience all these things once I go into the virtual world, but you make the story up as you go along. I don't know. That blows my mind. That takes storytelling in a whole different realm. There is no structure to it. It's anywhere the story goes. It's life, as opposed to a structured approach to a story.
Hey, Claire, how long is your little preview that you have?
Oh yeah, you must have a site or something. Or you must have
a little preview
snippet or something.
Yeah, so I have a video that we're using to promote the crowdfunding campaign. I think it's about 2 minutes.
Why don't you just share it right now on your screen, and let's do a screen share and watch it.
And that's how we'll take us out here.
Sure, sounds good.
Paul, can you give her sharing ability and co-host ability?
I can.
And then just put.
Hi, my name is Claire Offenberg.
Oh wait,
There we go.
not yet. Yeah. Well, Paul will give you ability first, and then pin yourself so that we disappear and only your screen, and then share screen, and then show the
remind
video.
me where in Zoom we're doing this on the fly here. One participant share time multiband sharing options.
Yeah, click on participant, click on Claire, and then click on co-host or host.
Okay, participants. I don't share this very often. Click
on Claire, and then there'll be drop down option for
Make
co-host.
Co-host. There you go.
Yes.
On the fly. This is the new time for. This is why radio and live streaming is so cool, because we're doing it in real time.
All right, Claire. Now, what you want to do next, Claire, is pin yourself so that we disappear and we only see you. And then after that, share screen, and then show the screen, and then there you go.
Great. Okay.
Let's watch it.
Hi, my name is Claire Offenberger, and I'm a senior film production major at Chapman University. Next spring, I'm directing my senior thesis film titled My Face Is Not My Own.
My name is Jake Westby. I'm the producer for My Face Is Not My Own.
Hi, my name is Dajiana Huang, and I'm the director of photography on this project.
Hi, my name is Kai Karafotis, and I'm the production designer for the thesis film My Face Is Not My Own.
My Face Is Not My Own is a coming-of-age story that explores the parallels between adolescence and aging, as well as the power of female bonds. Some references for this piece include Ordinary People, Autumn Sonata, Fish Tank, and The Spirit of the Beehive. Growing up, I took a lot of pride in looking very similar to my grandmother, and when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it changed everything. Suddenly, I couldn't recognize this woman I was so attached to and close to. This woman who I identified with. As her memory deteriorated, it was like looking in a mirror at an older version of myself. I didn't have the language to articulate how traumatic it was to lose her. but I hope to use this film as a way to visually express it and honor her memory. While this is a personal story, it is one that many people can relate to. According to Alzheimer's OC, 1 in 3 people die with Alzheimer's or dementia. I hope to tell a story that people can connect to and that will promote awareness around issues with Alzheimer's.
Some of our key expenses are reaching out to the right casting director so that we can attach the right cast, who are experienced, and are also able to understand the weight of the story we're trying to tell.
For the visual look of this film, Claire and I decided to go for a very subtle and naturalistic approach. One of the key expenses on this film will be shooting on the Alexa Mini, which we hope to use for its compact size. This is really important because we really want to follow along with the main character and get inside her head. And in order to do this, we hope to shoot handheld for a majority of it.
One of the key props that we're creating is a family photo album that goes back 3 generations. In order to make it accurate, we want to photograph our actors in period-authentic clothing and spaces. Creating our protagonist's bedroom is going to come with a lot of fun obstacles, including acquiring furniture that feels accurate to our character, getting period-authentic things for her space, and making sure that everything feels lived in and natural.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and we hope you'll consider supporting this film.
Doesn't get any better than that. Great promo piece.
Wow. I mean, it's hard to believe you're only like, I don't know, 22, 23.
Dr. Trinh, every young person you bring on the show, you brought on somebody who's gone to medical school. Now there's a filmmaker, somebody else who created some new revolutionary thing. At 20, I was just trying to, go to the next, play video games, go to the next party or something here. I wasn't thinking past tomorrow. I didn't have grand hopes and aspirations. It wasn't till later that I said, oh, I better catch up. I better talk my way into the studio somehow, because I've spent too many years screwing around and I'm not ready for this here.
Yeah, video games was me. So anyway, yeah, these kids, I mean, Claire did 2 movies for 20th Century Fox at the age of 19.
Yeah. Right.
So
I don't think my resume was quite that deep at 19.
I wasn't directing it.
Close. Production assistant, directing. Just today you weren't directing it. That's just something a minor thing we'll correct in the credits later.
Minor thing.
Yeah.
Just a minor thing.
Exactly.
Wow. So Claire, we want you back as soon as that movie's done.
Please, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for letting me be an old man and remember my memories of struggling in the film business. And I wish you all the best in your adventures ahead here. It sounds like you've got a head start on many of us, and talking about something that is of deep importance to you and many others in the community. These Alzheimer's stories that too often don't get remembered. And
Yes.
told again.
And please don't forget the zombie movie that's going to come soon.
That's Dr. Trin's dream, to be the star of a zombie movie someday here. So maybe you can make that dream come true here.
Oh yeah.
All right.
But the biggest thing I got today was that Claire's script is better than my script.
Yeah, there's 2 kinds of scripts. That's exactly it.
Oh yeah.
Yours is shorter.
Shorter. They each have an impact, but in different ways. All right. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Another reason to come back each and every week right here in Health Talks. For the script that we reel out each and every time, the stories we tell, all of which somehow lead to a healthier life. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, octalkradio.net. Streaming live from the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.